planning assumption is about 1,000 to 1,500 kilometers.
Wow,
So
that's further than I thought.
yeah, so when you look at the Shahab 3 at 2,000 kilometers, you bring it in a little bit, and again, you know, you go back to RAF Akrotiri, that could be within the target set of the Shahed.
And in fact, it was targeted, as we know.
It was targeted, however, we have information suggesting that that particular drone, stroke piston engine, travels at around 120 miles an hour, so it's not particularly fast. The warhead that it carries is between 20 and 60 kilograms, and that will be based on the range you want it to fly, because the heavier the warhead...
So it's a push propeller. It's what civilian hobbyists might use in light aircraft.
Yeah, super simple.
Really simple.
And it's really interesting is that you and me have been talking about Shahed 136s for 3 years. I'm getting people asking me questions who have never heard of a Shahed, and it's obviously only because they're now being used on Gulf countries that people are starting to realize what this threat is. Ukrainians have been dealing with it for a long time, but if we look at this, it is a really simple system. You know, if one gets shot down, you open it up, you'll find it's remarkably rudimentary. The airframe and engine, it's a delta wing design. It's 3.5 meters long, so it is bigger than you think it is. Powered by a piston engine, a two-stroke piston engine, travels at around 120 miles an hour, so it's not particularly fast. The warhead that it carries is between 20 and 60 kilograms, and that will be based on the range you want it to fly, because the heavier the warhead...
So it's a push propeller. It's what civilian hobbyists might use in light aircraft.
Yeah, super simple.
Really.
The prices are actually a little bit higher. It's around 35 to 50,000 for the Shahed. The US Patriot missile system, the PAC-3, which is the latest missile, that's $4 million per interceptor, $4 million. Then you look at the US THAAD system, Terminal High Altitude Air Defense, $13 million a pop. Now, they're obviously designed to take out ballistic missiles, and they will be doing that. And then you've got the UK short-range advanced air-to-air missiles called the ASRAAM. That's what we've seen the UK Typhoons in Akrotiri getting airborne with, and in Qatar, and using that missile. That missile is $250,000 a pop as well. So you can see...
So that's not sustainable. I mean, like, clearly it's not sustainable. In fact, the EU Commission said this week the Americans don't have enough to supply the region, the Europeans don't. So what is Ukraine going to supply the Gulf countries with to take down the Shaheds?
Well, President Zelensky, he's spoken to his counterparts in the Gulf countries. There we go. That's what the interceptor looks like. Travels at about 150 miles an hour. Shahed travels at about 120. It pops above how the flight level or the altitude of what, if you can play that again, please, what the Shahed flies at, and it increases with speed as it dives in on the target. And the brilliance of the interceptor is in its simplicity and cost compared to conventional air defense systems that we've been speaking about. They're easy to build, they're intuitive to operate. And speaking to the colonel, he told me that experienced first-person drone operators, they're called FPV, they can be trained on these in 5 to 7 days.
Wow.
An inexperienced